Okay, so right here on this beam for beginner, they're going to hold arabesque, which will be on their good leg. Sometimes a lot of the coaches will ask what their cartwheel leg is, and that's how you will better get them to give you an answer for what their favorite foot is. That's the foot that they will be standing on. The leg that they don't like so much will be the one that's out in the back. So they will be standing facing forwards with the stick above their head, and they will balance in an arabesque with their arms up. That way, if they start to dip, that they know, and they start to fall, they know they went too far, and they'll just hold here. Intermediate, this stick will be elsewhere, so it will then go over here. So the only person or people who use sticks on this low beam are the beginners. Intermediates will have their arms up, and they'll do bunny hops the whole way down the beam. Ooh, excuse me. Just their good foot in front, not their bad side. So they can go down, turn around, and come back, but only their good foot in front. And then advanced will do their step leaps. So they will get to step back and then leap good and try and hold that arabesque when they land. On the paper it does say gray medium in the and that's not what it's supposed to say. There's supposed to be 2 stations on this beam and then 2 stations on the next beam. So that will be corrected on the papers for when you come in. It will say gray and then beam 6, beam 6, beam 5, beam 5 rather than medium. I don't know why it did that. I guess I just wasn't paying attention. But so up here on this beam I will turn for beginners. Oop, maybe. There we go. For beginners, they are going to do ice cream scoop walks. So this stick will stay there, but for the case of intermediate, I'm going to leave it down here so I can show in a second. Ice cream scoop walks. They will step and scoop up their piece of ice cream as they walk. So bend and pick up. Bend and pick up. Oh, try and get their foot all the way below this beam and then keep stepping. Intermediate, they will have the stick out in front of them and they will do kicks forward. So they try to kick the stick, not actually kicking like that. So if they cannot kick that high, tell them to lower it and only kick as high as they can with their legs straight. If it's not up here, that's totally fine. Just the goal for later on. And then advanced, we'll do handstands up here. You can spot all the way up if you like, or you can wait until next week, totally up to you. On this other side over here, they're going to do their mounts and then walk forward, step or jump down to SLP. So on this other side here, I'm going to show on this side, the way that they mount, they won't really need a mat because it's the shorter beam, but they will come over and swing their leg. They will then swing both legs back behind them to their knee, and then one foot will go up and they will stand. So all you really need to remind them is that both feet go back behind them, and then their favorite foot comes in front and they stand up. No need to swing their legs super high, no need to make it super fancy, just over, their feet go behind, together, and then they stand up. Some of them may need a little bit of extra help this first week, making sure that that's the proper way to get up, because I would really like to push that this time around, especially for when they get into the upper level classes and they do have to do their mount in a routine type deal for one of their stations, and being able to just mount the beam and know what you're doing kind of makes you feel a little better. If you can get up there confidently and not shaky and all scared, that should help in that realm also. So no matter what level, that is their mount that they're getting on the beam with. So they will mount, and they will do their walk forward, probably to about the middle. And then they will jump off, either step down and jump off to SOP or straight jump. It's a little bit lower, so you may get a couple kids who really want to straight jump off. Just make sure that when they straight jump, go this way, not down this way, because this is the station right here and we don't want them to get landed on. I'd feel a little bit safer if they just jump down, over coming this way, when all that person is doing is staying either in one spot or moving very subtly, rather than doing a whole bunch of flips and stuff like they would be doing down here or going upside down. So making sure that they jump or step off that way, and they don't go all the way down. So intermediate will do the same exact mount, hop up, but then they will grapevine so their arms can be on their hips or out to the side. One forward, and then one behind. A lot of the times the kids cheat and just go over. Make sure that they're going over and then behind with that same foot. That way they're working their whole entire range of motion. So same thing, going about halfway, and then they'll straight jump off to land. They are not given the option to step down. They have to jump both feet together and land both feet together. And then for advanced, they will do tuck jumps with an arm swing. So right here, they don't necessarily need to walk and do their tuck jumps. They can just mount, get up, and do their tuck jumps. It'll be totally fine. Then moving on to the other side. So all the way down here, there will be this star. Okay, and we're going to reach it for the ceiling. Okay, so in beginner, they will hold this up above their head, and they will try and get it as close to the ceiling as they can. So try and really get it all the way up there. So get as tall as they can from their feet, and they will reach towards the ceiling as high as they can. Intermediate will jump from 1 foot to 2 feet over the star. So this will be on the beam, and they will start with 1 foot, and they will jump to 2 feet. You can keep their arms down. They can do an arm circle if they're advanced enough, but they have to jump from 1 foot to 2 feet. They can try both sides, but sticking their good foot out in front will be the most beneficial. And then on this side for advanced, there is nothing. They're just using this beam for their tuck jumps. So there will be something totally different. So just pretend that this station doesn't exist. Down here on the road beam, we are going to do half levers with the mini noodle, and then full levers touching the beam, and then split jumps. So half levers, you will only go halfway. So they can stick their pointer fingers or their middle fingers, and they will hold it with their thumb on the other side. So even if they do their pointer fingers, they will still hold with their thumbs. And they will go halfway. So they'll bend halfway and come back. Intermediate will go all the way down and touch the beam and come back. And then for advanced, they don't need the mini noodle, and they will just swing and do their split jumps and try and land on the beam. Then on this side, we do have a mat here for the shorter kids. They do not necessarily have to mount on this beam to get up, but if you would really like to drill it in their head so you don't have to later on, I would encourage it. But they are going to hop up, and they are going to do a passe hold with the ball in their arms. So just out in front. Passe is whoop, at your knee. Okay, so really just trying to balance. Being that they are beginners, you may need to help them a hair with being confident enough to stand up here. So you may want to get them up there and then hand them the ball so they can hold it. And that way they know you're there also, and they're not going to freak out. For intermediate, they're going to do handstands as high as they're comfortable with you spotting. So that's what this mat is for you. So you can stand up here, and you can grab below their stomach and by their back, or however you choose to spot, and you can let them know that they only have to do a donkey kick if they want. They can touch their feet together. They can go all the way up. As long as they're being safe, it's kind of up to them, however comfortable high that they want to go. You don't necessarily have to push them this time. Kind of just let them adapt on their own this week and next week, especially going upside down. And it being a high beam, we kind of just want to see where their confidence is at, so then we can drill moving forward. If we have kids in intermediate classes that are doing, perfectly fine up here with a donkey kick, then we can keep doing that up here. But if they're not confident yet and not allowing you to spot them, and they're really just not going for it, then next time we can move it to a different beam. But really letting you gauge where their confidence is at before we start anything too crazy is going to help. Also know how to coach them through it also. If you have a kid that comes up here and they're totally fine and they only want your spot for like the first one or two, then later on that you don't have to be waiting here by this beam for them to go, and to be available to help them, you can walk around a little more. Also, please make sure we're standing on this side. That way you can see everything. So if you're standing on this mat and you don't like spotting from this angle, I cannot spot this way. I don't like spotting with my left hand on top, or my right hand on top. So I would have them face the other way. That way you don't have to change your position, and you can still see literally everything that's going on around you, rather than standing on this side and having your back turned just because that's the way you like to spot. Just stand on the other side and have them go the opposite way. And then for Advanced up here, they're going to do their cartwheel to side handstand, land finish. We already went over the road beam, so we're going to move down to this short beam over here. This one, the pit mat will be gone when the time comes, but it is in there today due to vault landings that we need to get done with being gone for Texas, so this will be gone completely, but for the time being, I will just show going in that way. There will be an open pit and not a squishy mat, so they will have to crawl out of the pit also. Here, beginners will do star jumps, so swing their arms and star jump and land in the pit, not this mat, obviously. And intermediate will do kick to handstand and fall flat back. They may not be able to hold it yet, but getting them comfortable kicking over and falling over will help with that handstand station and handstands in general, and just with their confidence going upside down. Some of them will not fall to their back, and that's okay. Some of them will try and kick up and try and turn. That way they don't have to fall to their back. If you see that they would be capable to do it by themselves, they're just kind of bailing out, go ahead and come over and try and spot them and help them fall over a couple times. That way they can see that they're okay and that they'd be more willing to try by themselves. And then for advanced, they'll turn this beam so it's sideways, even with the pit this way. And they will do side handstands, quarter turn into the pit. So same thing if you need to spot those this first 2 weeks, that's totally fine. Just to make sure that they're confident in going for it. That way it isn't a struggle later on also.